right, so what is the best movie of the last 25 years? That is the question that the New York Times posed to more than 500 filmmakers, movie stars, and film buffs. So here's what they came up with. The 100 best movies of the 21st century. Number 10, The Social Network. At 9, Spirited Away. Then Get Out. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is next. No Country for Old Men. Moonlight comes in at number 5. Then In the Mood for Love. At number 3, There Will Be Blood. Then Mulholland Drive. And their best movie this century is the 2020 Best Picture winner, Parasite. Some of those movies I have not heard of, just to be clear. But okay, let's start, Scott.
Yeah.
What is your best movie?
Well, on the whole list, I thought Anchorman should have been number 1 because that was the time in America when I guess that was the last time you were allowed to make a joke in America, and so they made one. It was Will Ferrell at his best, so I thought that was great. And then my runner-up was Moneyball, which is also on the list, but I thought should have been higher. But I'll go with Anchorman. It should have been.
Moneyball's pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, none of those movies are classics. Let me just say, I'm a Good Will Hunting.
think
Good Will Hunting is probably the greatest movie of all time.
Oh,
I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting's a great movie.
Great.
Free Willy is an amazing movie. My Girl.
Are we in
You're
the
in the wrong
2000s?
decade.
I know, that's why I'm bringing it home.
Okay.
Love and Basketball.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the NBA draft. I'm thinking about Chloe Kitts. I'm thinking about her boyfriend, Collie Murray Boyles. I'm thinking about everything Love and Basketball today. I would love to just sit back and watch that. Oh my goodness, that's a classic. Did you watch that?
Love and Basketball?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Did you watch that, Scott?
But what? Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I mean,
You and I are
I'm
in
with
different
you
cultural-
on. Love and Basketball is a great.
Different cultural equals. It's a classic, though.
That is very
That
true.
line is a classic.
Okay, Kierna, what you got?
Well, I have dual citizenship in Wakanda, so I'd have to say that Black Panther is among the best movies of the last 25 years. It wasn't just a movie, it was a movement, it was a moment. It symbolized so much. We forget now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was pretty incredible. $1.3 billion in the box office, first time Black director, first time Black cast for Marvel Studios. I mean, hello. It was just so monumental. And that one line, "Don't scare me like that, colonizer," that stays with me.
A movie and a movement. I think actually, to me, I feel like there's so few movies that actually are like that. They're like cultural phenomenon where we all just like go and watch them. And that does, I think, kind of put a movie in a different tier. Now, is Black Panther like technically, I don't know what technically a good movie is, but is it from a technical perspective
I think
one of the best movies? I don't know, does it matter?
So from what I've read amongst some of the folks who make action movies, this does not rank in that capacity. But for me, as a story, just as a everyday lay person who goes to the movie and spends too much money on popcorn, I was fully entertained.
Tell me this question for
yeah.
the table. How do you all feel about Parasite? That is my point.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Never seen it.
I'm not sure that
generally
anybody
opposed.
around the table
Yeah, I haven't
can tell me. Give me a line from Parasite. Tell me.
I know.
Yeah.
Pete,
I mean,
tell me about
When
Parasite.
they started nominating 10 films for Best Picture every year, I tapped out.
I'm still struggling with.
But
I'm still struggling with La La Land and
Yeah.
Moonlight.
Well,
Yeah.
don't even get me started on La La Land.
Yeah.
But
I
mean,
watched
Scott,
You
Scott,
watched it?
Do you disagree on the Black Panther thing?
Yeah, look, I think the best Avengers movie was Iron Man, the first one.
That's a good. I mean,
2008.
that's a legitimate argument.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of good movies, but Iron Man was the best character, and they had the best actor for that, and I thought they did the best job right out of the gate with it. So I would have.
A lot of it is.
But Chadwick Boseman
But
and Dora Milaje,
but
like,
I also,
give me
I
an
mean,
army
I
of
agree
bullheaded
with
black
you
women
wholeheartedly,
any
but
day.
a lot of the Chadwick, Tupac, Biggie Smalls thing is the fact that you revere people differently. You look at people differently, and we look at people because we didn't even know what Chadwick was going through when he taped those films.
Right.
And so that movie was an amazing film. It really was. I think Iron Man was a great film.
Great movie.
But I think that, I think $1.3 billion kind of speaks for itself too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But you're right about Parasite. I mean, Parasite is at the top of the New York Times list, and it was a good movie. I saw it,
did.
but I don't remember it.
Right, right.
I mean, I should remember it, but I don't. And I'm not a big movie person, so I have to remember a movie. if
Right,
It's gonna
exactly.
make the list. You know what I'm saying? Okay, what do you have, Christine?
Well, I was gratified that Ratatouille was on there because I really liked it, and a lot of people made fun of me for liking it, so I feel vindicated. Yes, very much I feel validated in that. I was surprised Crash wasn't on the list. And in the description of, oh God, now I'm going to forget the name of it, Lost in Translation, they kind of took a dig at Crash. So I was surprised that,
That's interesting.
yeah, they were like, they said something to the effect of Lost in Translation should have won the Best Picture, but Crash did, and it's a endless Academy question. So then I was surprised they didn't even put it on the list. I didn't think Social Network was that great a movie. I didn't get that
I kind
at
of
all.
agree.
I think it was
It was like an
idea. It's
okay
the
movie.
yeah.
It was high on the list.
Very high on the list.
Extremely high.
And I wasn't sure if it was just that I didn't think it was a good movie or just I resent all of that being part of our world now. But
You know, that Ratatouille is a great ride at Disney World. My kids love it because not only do they have, it's the way that it moves with the screens, but they also, you can smell what's going on in the kitchen.
Seriously?
So they really maximize the Ratatouille
Wow.
business there at Disney
Well,
World.
good for them.
Yeah, they
Good
really
for
did.
them.
So on the list, though, Christine, what is your actual favorite?
Well, I feel the need to represent the LGBT community, but in all seriousness, Brokeback Mountain. I mean, that movie, I think,
That
was
counts.
significant, obviously, because of the representation it gave to the complexity of LGBT relationships, but it also was just not what you expect. If you say I'm going to a cowboy movie, nobody expects the next line to be about gay guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really made, I think, people think, and then just the tragedy at the end made you recognize how far we've come, but still how much violence there is against people in the community.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of movies that had a huge impact.
Yeah.
It was very controversial in some quarters, but it was like a cultural moment for that movie to be what it was.
And the actors were heralded.
Brokeback
Brokeback.
Mountain.
Yeah, I was going to say similarly
Yeah.
for Moonlight.
Yes.
Moonlight.
That's true.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And a lot of people thought it was going to ruin those actors' careers, and it didn't at all.
Yeah. All right, Pete.
Well, I tend to gravitate towards comedies, entertaining movies that are rewatchable and never get old. So this list didn't have a lot of good movies for me and my taste. So I decided to go a little artsy in my pick, and that's The Dark Knight. Because, Joaquin Phoenix,
that's a great film.
incredible
Yeah.
Joker,
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson, incredible Joker,
Yeah.
but I think Heath Ledger
Yeah.
was transcendent. And that was the role of his career. Of course, we lost him shortly thereafter as well. And he was absolutely impeccable as a Joker.
Yeah. Hey,
No argument.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of arguments
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Dark Knight. Yeah.
You know what was not on there? Was Wedding Crashers on there?
No.
No.
Wedding Crashers is an amazing movie because you mentioned there's not a lot of great comedies on there.
Something.
That was
Brad-
really,
Bridesmaids
really well
was
done.
Bridesmaids. was on
They need to
there.
redo
That was a good
We
movie.
should redo the list
Totally.
and then send it to the New York
Exactly.
Times.
Okay, so what should not have been on there?
I mean, the 60% of the movies on this list I didn't recognize. Some of the artsy fartsy stuff. Like I don't care. Like I'm never going to watch this, and so for me, that stuff doesn't make it has no impact on me whatsoever.
Well, I actually counted, and I've only seen 25 of the 100.
I had
so
30.
I can
My
make an
estimate.
argument
That's
that 75
estimate.
shouldn't be on the list.
Yeah.
How
But
have I seen more than you have?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought Moonlight was too high.
Did you?
Moonlight was too high.
Moonlight was a fifth, or fourth, or
So
fifth.
it was in the top 10.
It was in the top 10. There are movies that you come into that have a certain level of. I went to watch Ilya, right? Phenomenal movie. I just went to watch Dora the Explorer 2. I mean, I have 6.5.
Right.
First of all, don't judge me.
Don't hate him.
Right.
Don't-
No.
But it is an amazing movie. They're very well put. Mufasa.
Oh,
Great movie.
that's a great
Mufasa
movie.
was almost 10 out of
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
Moonlight it didn't hit the bars I thought it was going to hit.
I remember thinking that movie was extremely well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of
Beautiful
those movies.
film.
It was a beautiful film. Like
Yeah.
you just watch it and you just.
I don't think I have the emotional intelligence.
It was just very well shot
Cinematically, yeah.
cinematically. The movie that I thought was appropriately high on the list was Get Out.
Yes.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great
no,
movie.
it's a
Terrific.
Great movie.
Great
Cultural
movie.
phenomenon.
You know what's
Cultural
amazing?
phenomenon,
Since
yeah.
we're all here, I think Sinners probably would be number one.
Right now.
Right now.
Right
why,
now.
Why-
I mean,
why wouldn't
I don't think it was
why
on.
wasn't it
I didn't
even
see
on-
it.
it wasn't on
the list.
because
But
it's still out.
Sinners is the best movie that we have seen from a cinematic storyline, depth,
Yeah.
perspective, actors. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't.
Can you go with me?
No, I please. I want to
Scott
There's your
Jennings,
content,
can we
Abby.
go together
It's
to
a
watch
wrap.
Sinners?
Fine. I will take Get Out. I watched that on an airplane. I almost jumped out of the seat. Like, I mean, and there were a few of it, and it was like late at night, and there was like a few of us watching. I could sell it because there were some people watching it on the plane. People were in there freaking out. Like, it was amazing. And so that movie had the intended.
Tell me
gotta
you watched it again, not on an airplane.
You gotta watch it. I'm gonna take me and Scott are going to watch Sinners. Double
That's
date.
funny.
Easy.
All right, so Scott, you talked about how, I guess you said they can't tell jokes anymore. Anchorman was the last time you could. I mean, has comedy sort of lost its place in
Look, I think
movies?
It's also not true.
I think our culture.
Hangover was after
Yeah.
Anchorman.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Was that on there?
No.
Was Hangover on
No,
there?
Hangover.
But I mean,
Borat was.
But Borat was.
I
But
guess what
Hangover's
I would
better than
say
Anchorman. I mean,
is that
Hangover's-
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe Anchorman should be on this
It should be.
list because it's a cultural phenomenon. But I think the movies that you might like that are
Yeah,
you know
edgier.
irreverent and edgier, they're just not good movies, but they're irreverent
Right.
and edgy.
Right.
So fine.
I do think we have suppressed certain kinds of humor in movies and television over the years. I mean, I wonder, could you even make The Office and put it on television right now? I don't know.
Yes,
Or-
absolutely.
so not
Oh,
real.
absolutely.
If you go back and watch some
my
of it
gosh.
now, it's like, I don't know if they'd be writing that
No.
script today.
I don't know. I mean, could you watch Married with Children right now?
I don't
I think so. I mean, I'm with
That's what I'm
him. I mean,
saying.
I think on both sides of the aisle. I think it's like Married with Children is, if you watch that late at night. I mean, it's on like dark, late. Like you
3
got to be
o'clock in the
going.
morning.
You got to wake up to pee to catch quality TV right now. And I'm with you on that. I mean, like I Married with Children, it's not coming on at 7 or 8 o'clock at night anymore. I mean, but that's good TV. Al Bundy.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
well, I think that's the appropriate time slot. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. The police come in. And say, you can't do it.
I don't know. I mean,
I
I
like
think
the
that
good,
in
like,
general,
yeah.
television and movies, by the way, everybody's playing it safe.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody
Agree.
wants to rock the boat. They
Agreed.
just want to
That's why
put
Sinners-
butts in seats, which is why nothing is original, which is why Sinners is so great because
Right.
it's so original. And so that's really the problem. I'm not even sure it's that much about like not wanting to offend people. I just think it's like a lack of creativity.
I think I agree.
Wanting to
there.
play it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I disagree.
Well, I
wholeheartedly.
mean, we're
like,
wanting to
'cause
play it safe because there is a.
Yeah, but I mean,
heightened
like
sensitivity.
Comic View. We grew up on Comic View.
That's true.
You grew up on.
But
Maybe not, but we grew up on Comic View, didn't we?
But nowadays, like like on network television, you hear people dropping f-bombs. You hear like it's so on the other side, there really is a lowering of the bar. I don't think people are necessarily.
But vulgarity is not funny necessarily.
Right.
And I think we've replaced actually funny things with just
Being
flat
vulgar.
out vulgarity. And they're not the same thing. You don't have to be vulgar to be funny.
Yeah.
But I do think there are people in the entertainment business who worry deeply about who I'm going to offend. And they screen out certain kinds of material. And you know, that ultimately affects the end product. I mean, there's a lot of movies going back to, say, the mid-'70s until today, like a lot of stuff, mid-'70s, '80s, '90s, you could never make it today.
Correct.
You could never make Airplane. You could never make Caddyshack. You could never make
Animal Farm.
You couldn't make a lot of this stuff. And so now,
On the
you know,
other-
cultures change,
Yeah.
and you know, ultimately it's a capitalist marketplace, and people have to decide what will sell. But right now, Hollywood's not doing too hot, so maybe they ought to rethink it.
Well, and it seems
Well-
like the formula right now is nostalgia. And to go back to Top Gun, and
Again,
another
a
Jurassic
lack-
Park,
a
and
lack
another
of-
Mission
Yeah,
Impossible.
the lack of.
Lack of
was the Top
creativity.
Gun sequel in it?
No.
Oh my gosh, that movie was phenomenal.
So, Christine, you had a hot take about Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of Ocean's 11 or the whole series.
I actually kind of like that movie.
You didn't like
I mean,
Ocean's
I-
8 either?
No, I
Were,
just felt
were any
like
of the
it
Mission
was-
Impossibles on there?
No.
No.
Nor should they be.
I agree with that. I agree
These
with
are
that.
these
I
are
think there's a
I like the first
there's
one.
Yeah,
a piece of
I
this
mean-
conversation that we haven't really touched on. I mean, we don't know these films, but maybe we should. Maybe
Right.
there should be a different kind of marketing apparatus that brings these.
I'm
If
actually-
these films are that incredible, and let's presume they are, right? Because the people who make movies voted and they care, and this is their world and it's their life, and a lot of these films that do win Oscars, when you finally get around to them, you sit back and you say, wow, I mean, that is a really high bar. These films are really intense. They're incredible. They have screenplays that are written by people who are of particular communities that we don't hear from all the time. So for me, it's less like these movies. I don't know these movies, therefore dismiss them. It's more like, why don't I know these movies?
Well,
That's the
I think that Scott, when he said earlier that there's a artsy-fartsy kind of element to this, I think that is a little true, that the movies
No
that
doubt.
are picked
That's definitely
by
true.
Yeah.
people in the industry are inaccessible.
Yeah.
And I think inaccessibility to me makes it hard for me to rank a movie high on a list of great.
That's a great point.
Especially
That's a great point.
Frank.
But I
Yeah.
don't
So-
think that artsy-fartsy is
I'm not saying it's bad.
necessarily.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that people's ability to actually enjoy
Yeah,
the
it should just
film
be
is a
accessible
factor
arts
and
and
is
I agree.
as
I don't want to
important as
think
other
too much
things.
when I'm watching a movie.
Nor do you
I
want
just
to
want to have fun.
Right. You don't want to leave the film feeling like, wow, I am stupid.
But also,
that I
but
didn't
also
get
I mean,
that.
it also has to do with the artist. I know we're going down another path, but the other day I found myself watching 3 John Wicks,
Yeah.
like back to back.
Yes,
to
I've
back.
done that before.
Simply
accidentally.
because like he is just an
Brilliant.
exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was John Wick on the list?
No, it's
Did see him on-
okay. So
we need
so
to rewrite this list.
so guys,
Yeah.
It's the New York
do you,
Times. We gotta rewrite a lot of it, Pete.
do you guys have any guesses about which movie stars had the most movies on this list?
George Clooney had a lot.
But it's not him.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, good guess.
Brad
I mean,
Pitt
like,
had
the reason
6.
it's like Brad Pitt or Michael B. Jordan, I get confused.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm
interchangeable.
it's like a
Seymour
6-way
Hoffman.
tie with all the rest of them.
Look.
for 4 each.
Oscars so white.
Yeah.
True. Very
That
true.
is
That's
true.
always.
Okay, the directors with the most movies on the list. Any guesses?
No.
Come on, guys.
Spielberg.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
You know, Spielberg is not
Nolan.
even in the top. Okay, Christopher Nolan.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher
Or
Nolan.
Rush Hour guy. What's his name? I think he's canceled right now.
Cohen. Yeah.
What's my Rush Hour?
Oh, I don't know.
Rush Hour's not on the list.
Well, that Rush Hour is not on the list. Okay, all right. A very interesting conversation. We'll regroup in the next century. Thanks, guys.